This San Francisco 49ers preview edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Circus Sports. Circus Sports is giving away $14 million this NFL season. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere. Get all the info over at circusports.com. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app to get last minute tickets at the lowest prices guaranteed. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon.
This is Randy Cross. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Will I be Brock Hard, or am I suffering from some low T in the bay? That's the we needed the music for that.
We need a Brocktile dysfunction situation there.
Oh, that's almost like it sounds like reptile, but you're talking about boners.
Yes, exactly. Brocktile dysfunction.
He does have a noodle arm.
Well, that's going to be we didn't get to see Brock Purdy play in the preseason. We did see apparently he was struggling in joint practices. We can talk about that. So much to get to. First off, just got back from the Fantasy Football Expo, so shout out to all the listeners. We got to meet there. New listeners just checking out the show for the first time. What's up? Also, I did write this down. Shout out to a listener who goes by the name of Jimmy Carter. He
Like the president?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
His I think I was talking to his girlfriend who came up to me and was like, I got to get a picture for my boyfriend.
Oh.
He's a huge fan. And then she sent the photo to him and it was great. He responded something to like, I just creamed my jeans. That's so awesome. So shout out to you, Jimmy. I assume you're listening if you're that big of a massive fan.
Sounds very intimate.
It was very, very intimate, but we're here plugging away 22 or no, how many NFL previews down, Ryan?
Well, we have 6 left.
Okay.
This
So
is
even
like,
more than 22.
Yeah. This is 27. So we've done 26. We've got 6 to go. We'll call it the last furlong. Not a mile. A furlong.
No, not quite a mile. And we're going to be talking about the San Francisco 49ers, a team that's been hot and cold. Obviously, we'll get into all of it. The big question, of course, is the quarterback situation. Before we hop in, shout out to new sponsor, Game Time. That's right. Game Time is your place to go grab some tickets last minute. You want guaranteed lowest prices? Game Time has you covered. Oh man, I've been going to a bunch of Eagles games every time they're on the West Coast. Went to a couple of Eagles Rams, Eagles Chargers, even Eagles Raiders. I'm gonna be going to the Eagles Rams in LA coming up in SoFi here only a couple months. It's crazy. The season is right upon us, and of course I'm going to be heading to Game Time because I'm the guy who has to get the tickets for the group, and it's always last minute because everyone goes, oh yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a sitter to go to the game. You know how it is, and then you go last minute. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna."
Sounds strangely personal.
I'm gonna get totally boned, but not with Game Time. They save you time, they save you money. Very easy to set up. Again, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Oh. And Sean
Almost blew out my voice. That's how excited I was about Game Time.
I was going to fill in for you because I think there was a whole bunch of Niner fans. Let's be topical, using Game Time.
Oh, they took over.
Buy tickets in Las Vegas.
Yes. Oh, for the preseason game. Yeah.
Did you see that? I mean, did you see the pictures?
Yeah, that was crazy.
There. I mean, yeah. Josh is showing it on the screen. YouTube.com/sportsgamblingpodcast. But I mean, oftentimes you do see the Niners travel well, Steelers travel,
Yep.
but there's no Raiders fans to be seen.
No, I mean, it's a preseason game. I thought Raiders fans would show up again. That was their time to shine. Dominated, covered that ATS and on the money line. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, get that account. Use that promo code SGPN, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, Kramer, let's go. I mean, we perfect transition from that preseason game. Our hero, Trey Lance. Oh, Trey. He did throw a touchdown pass, but it was the only touchdown pass that even Trey Lance stands were like, wow, that looked horrible. He threw right into double coverage, bounced off the defender's hands, and then Ross Dwelly, who just great nose for the ball, Ross Dwelly ends up
First
grabbing
touchdown. God, we've been there before.
Oh,
with Ross.
I could be dabbling with some Dwelly.
I mean, this is the kind of thing where, every single Trey Lance fan is a process over outcome guy.
Yeah.
Until this weekend happened.
I feel like, and I don't worry, I was chirping at the 49ers fans once Trey
what
was
do you
struggling.
mean?
He took 4 sacks.
They left my mention, Sean. Ever since Sam Darnold has shown to be the best quarterback this preseason, no one's been in the mentions.
Well, we'll see.
No Brock Purdy. I'm curious on Katie's take, but no Brock Purdy stands have been coming back at me.
Trey Lance
telling me about Tommy John surgery and their expertise of the elbow ligaments.
Trey Lance just held onto the ball an incredibly long amount of time.
Almost like he didn't play a lot of football.
Yeah.
You know the people that keep giving him give him time. Do you know there was one player? I learned this. I think we were just randomly watching NFL Network. There's one player in NFL history who came into the NFL with fewer passes attempted than Trey Lance.
Who's that?
Michael Vick.
Really?
Didn't slow him down. And he got put in a shitty ass West Coast offense that held him back.
I keep bringing up that stat of Tom Brady threw more passes last year than Trey Lance, high school, college, and pro combined, which is crazy. And again, coming to that narrative, the combination of Purdy, Lance, and Darnold are favored in 15 out of the 17 games of the regular season. Like we're talking week 1 road favorite. Brock Purdy coming off a crazy Tommy John like surgery. I'm just skeptical. And again, you look at their draft, bring up the key additions, key losses, because I just don't know what they're doing with their draft and what they're trying to acquire. They did sign Sam Darnold day 1. Again, I think Sam Darnold came in with the idea that he thought he had a good chance at the number 2 spot. I don't think he would be doing that otherwise. They also drafted Jake Moody, a kicker in the 3rd round, who was 0 for 2 last night in the preseason game. Now, in his defense, one of those kicks was like a crazy 58-yarder, but still, using a kicker in the 3rd round, a negative EV move. But when you get
not
lucky,
with Shanahan, not for
when
Shanahan.
you get lucky with Brock Purdy, as I said to Randy Cross, who was just on the show, I go, they kind of lucked into Brock Purdy. He's like, kinda. He was all over that, but to Purdy's credit, he had a great window there while he was in. He finished 6th in EPA and his 86% EPA consistency rate, 3rd highest in the NFL. He was playing very well. I mean, what do you make of the rest of the roster stuff the Niners did, Ryan?
Well, first of all, I do think, and we should bring it back, but good old welcome, Matt. John Lynch, just doing whatever Shanahan says. It's going to slowly turn into a Belichick situation where John Lynch, obviously not the brains of the operation. He's just the guy that picks up the phone. He's got a lot of free time. And I worry about like when you pick a kicker in the 3rd round and you don't get to like if Gettleman did that, the internet would have exploded. And yet John Lynch, well, look what he's doing. He's just making smart football decisions over
media
there.
darling.
He traded up for if Dave Gettleman traded up for Trey Lance.
Oh man,
the internet would explode. I hate to be a sympathist, but I would say this. I think you're wrong about Sam Darnold. I don't think he came here because he thought he could be the backup. I think he came here because he thought this was actually a legit, not only a rehabilitation stop because the system, but because he fancies himself better than the other 2 quarterbacks on the roster. You don't think Sam Darnold, slinging Sammy D, thinks he can beat out a noodle arm Brock Purdy, Iowa State, Mr. Irrelevant? Sam Darnold was a high draft pick.
Yeah, and again,
he's had nothing but remember Adam Gase touched Sam Darnold. Adam Gase. He's been in some really bad situations, not making excuses for him, but you put Sam Darnold into this system. We've talked about this with the Browns and some of these systems where the floor is so high, you just need a guy that's not going to fuck up.
Listen to this Kyle Shanahan quote. Does this sound like Kyle Shanahan is talking about a backup quarterback? This is via Michael Silver of the San Francisco Chronicle. Quote, I mean, Steve Young took a while to get going, and he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I don't like to compare anyone to Steve because of how good he is, but why can't Sam be like that? He's got that type of ability. He is that type of person. And I'm just pumped that we could get a talented guy like him here. Where are the quotes where he's comparing Trey Lance to Joe Montana? I dug around, Ryan. I did not find those quotes. Obviously the 49ers have a really good roster. It's just an interesting dynamic where they're the second favorite in the NFC, yet we still don't really have a good handle on who their quarterback is. Their 49ers did dominate, but they did also struggle at times with top tier quarterback play. And they face a bunch of top quarterbacks in this schedule. Their schedule is really weird. 5th easiest schedule by win total. A lot of that maybe is from their division, but also -20 in net rest edge, dead last in the league. The 49ers.
Well, and the story is we didn't really touch on their season last year. Almost like you want to disrespect them because it didn't matter because they didn't win the last game, but only because they didn't have that third string emergency quarterback. But the story of their season last year is just they had a streak of health mixed with easy schedule. I think their strength of schedule came out to the easiest depending on how you looked. And I think at the end of the day, Brock Purdy came in and did exactly what he needed to do. Awesome story.
Yeah.
But now we got 10 games of tape on him. So I think
this is where
they had a perfect season last year.
Yep.
They still have they have a great roster. They still have a great roster. Sands picking a kicker in the 3rd round. All of these things are true, but you can't look yourself. You can't look in the mirror. I know our theory is that you don't. Oh shit! What just happened?
Well, power surge in studio.
I think we're still live though. Yeah, we're still good. You can't look yourself in the mirror and say any of the quarterbacks on this team are A+ level. We've kind of argued you don't need A+ level, but I still can't look at this team with those guys and say this is a conference favorite.
Yeah, they were 13-4 last year, 13-7 ATS. Their win total was at 10. They hit the over. Kramer, you had them 6-11. I had them 9-8.
Oh, 6-11.
Well, again, it was last year was the same thing. I feel like our preview is going to be very similar. You have a good roster. You have Kyle Shanahan, who. It's interesting. Like he is great at scheming up. Oh, and the nugget I did want to share on the and we'll talk about it more when we go through the schedule, but 49ers play 4 teams coming off a bye this year. So again, that's huge. And you mentioned their injury luck. Like it's been consistently bad. I don't know if it's the medical department. I don't know if it's the field.
No. Shanahan's bad at injuries, but they were lucky last year in most of the things that make that team tick. Mostly stayed healthy.
And Kyle Shanahan, he is very good at maximizing talent from bad quarterbacks and getting wins out of them. But he is Kyle Shanahan just kind of a pussy when it comes to. No team punted more often inside opponent territory with 5 or less yards to go than the San Francisco 49ers, 8 separate times. Wow. San Francisco also tied for most field goal attempts in the red zone on 4th or 2 or less at 6. So it's weird because he seems
question,
like
is Kyle Shanahan a boomer? He drafts kickers in the 3rd round.
He's loved by the analytic community. I feel like the film nerd guys love them some.
The scheme guys really get hard.
They really do. And again, to his credit, the Shanahan system is very good, and they run the ball and they create easy opportunities for their quarterbacks. I will last couple nuggets, and then we'll be bringing on our special guest, Katie Mox, calling in here on a second. Javon Hargrave, that's a huge addition for the 49ers.
We'll just call her the defense attorney.
Their O-line, I think, outside of the questions at quarterback, I do think the O-line ETR has them ranked 20th. Really, right tackle Colton McKivitz starting for the first time in year 4.
Great. Circled that on the depth chart. McKivitz.
Trent Williams is obviously a very good left tackle, but he's
the best.
He's been dealing with a bunch of nagging stuff and getting up there in age, so he needs to stay healthy. And McKivitz needs to show he can play at starter level. Again, I think I would be optimistic.
They got Kittle. Kittle can just block for the first half,
right?
Of the
And that's why he's always tricky in fantasy.
But he's still he's an elite tight end blocker.
Yeah,
also an Iowa guy.
He is. Stay tuned for our MLDs, aka most likely DGens.
Imagine watching Kittle try to place a bet. Wasn't there some sort of thing where Kittle fixed the Wi-Fi during draft week? Oh, I'll have to look into this.
Yeah,
he fixed the Wi-Fi for someone, so he might be too smart to get caught.
Lot going on, Ryan. Lot going on. Is our guest ready to go?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's before we bring on Katie, listen to those trumpets blare. Oh, that's right. I mean, Circus Sports. The NFL season right around the corner. You got to get in over at the Circus Sports contest. $14 million up for grabs. $8 million in the Circus Survivor. Can you imagine cashing? Look at those. We got the prizes up now over at YouTube. I just imagine that. Taking home a giant check, a really badass blue jacket. No rate. 100% payback to players. Again, these prizes are guaranteed. So even if it doesn't work out, Derek's a little short. He's going to find that money. He's going to get you paid. Sign up in Nevada. Play from anywhere. Perfect excuse to take a trip out to Circus Sports and get sign up for the contest. Hang out with us. We're going to be there August 24th through the 26th for the ultimate sign up weekend. Bunch of fun events, parties going on over there. CircusSports.com. Joining us on the line, from CBS Sports and Omaha Audio, 49er superfan Katie Mox. What's up, Katie?
Hi. I don't know why you can't see me.
Oh, no. Oh, what? Oh.
Yeah. Can you see me now?
We
I
can
am.
see you. You're just frozen.
Yeah. Okay. That's lovely. Hi guys. How's it going?
Maybe?
Thank you for having me on. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah. Always. Appreciate you coming on, talking 49ers. Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can. I'm not
What
sure
the
why I'm
hell's
freezing.
going on?
Yeah. I did all of the things that you told me to do.
All right. Why do you?
You sound like Colby Kramer. I did what you said to do on the sheet, and it's still not working. Should we have her sign out and sign back in?
Try reconnecting. There you go.
All right. Katie will be right back. But I think we got to start with the preseason game, because I think, again, it's preseason. People like to say, "Oh, you can't take away anything from preseason," but I was there when Deshaun Jackson, as a rookie, took a punt to the house, went like 85 yards. It was electric, and immediately I knew, I'm like, this guy's gonna be good. He is fast. So I kind of disagree with people that say, "Oh, you can't take away anything from the preseason." Like, it's
you can take bad things more than you can take good things.
I think you're right too. Lombardi was going over stuff.
Say the protection in Denver, for example.
Yes.
That
oh my God.
seemed to be.
We
something,
haven't even. I'm sure we'll dive deeper when we do our NFL preseason picks week 2 podcast. But man, Denver picked up right where it left off in the Nathaniel Hackett era. Like, Russ looked so bad. I mean, I understand you can't take away anything, but Russell Wilson not being able to complete a pass is bad. And that's where we ended things with Russell Wilson. So I think the fact that
that's where we ended things.
You can't take anything away from it is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to the Niners, I think are a team you can't, like, you can take everything in that the quarterback play will matter. And you should want to see how they look, at least. Like, Trey Lance still looks horrible, for example.
Yes.
Bad play still. But I also think you can't take anything because I don't think Shanahan's going to show you anything useful. So
That's
like
true.
the offense isn't going to look super easy in the preseason because he's not going to do all the good plays.
You run your base offense, base defense.
So,
I do think like sloppiness in general. You know, the Broncos were one of the teams that led the preseason last year in penalties. So especially like stuff like that, I think that is something to keep an eye on, and I'll definitely be.
There we go.
Looking at that. All right. Joining us on the line, Katie.
Still.
Yeah, I'm fine in the green room, but for some reason, when it brings me on stage here, it's a little wonky.
I don't know.
All right.
Read.
I don't know, Ryan. You're the tech guy. What are we doing here?
Power through.
Okay.
Power through. We'll figure something out.
Go audio only.
Oh.
All right. Yeah. Let's just. I mean, Katie, can you hear us now?
I can.
Okay.
Right, we're just.
That's fine. We'll just do
only.
it. We'll just do it without the video.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Hello.
Joining us on the line from CBS Sports and Omaha Audio, Katie Mox. What's happening, Katie? How are you feeling about your 49ers right now?
Well, barring, not looking at yesterday's preseason game with that O-line, and tough day for the Trey Lance truthers, I will say. But other than that, the vibes are high. The vibes are always high. So we're feeling good.
Oh, all right. So that sounded very like your eyes were lasers, like Brian Dable looking at the special teams coach. So Trey Lance, when does he get traded?
Well, he didn't put on a good enough performance to get traded yesterday. So I don't know. We might have to hold on to him a little bit longer. But, and everyone kept saying how much better Sam Darnold looked. And of course, Sam Darnold's going to look better because he has much more experience. But with all of this back and forth and the Trey Lance truthers going on and on, I mean, he really didn't look improved at all. He had back-to-back 3-and-outs. Then they started having him throw to the outside, some quick, short passes, try to build his confidence back up. He had a decent drive, but then when he throws it into the end zone and into tight coverage, nearly gets picked off, goes to the ground, and Dwelly, a tight end, I love my tight ends, picks it up for a touchdown.
Hey.
It's and by the way, Dwelly was kind of off and on. I think he just actually secured his spot on the team this year. But yeah, I mean, oh, Trey Lance. You guys know, I've never thought he was the guy, and I still don't.
No, and it's
we
tough.
appreciate that take too.
How is he ever? Last year was his chance. They were going to give him like a red shirt year where he's going to play. And all right, we'll lose a couple games, but he needs to get that experience. But now the 49ers are almost pigeonholed by their success. Like they got to the NFC Championship game. Obviously, they got destroyed in that game. But but like they can't just go, hey, this is a rebuilding year, we're gonna start Trey Lance and see if it works. Like you can't do that. You have your roster around Trey Lance is too good to start Trey Lance, if that makes sense. And Brock Purdy, again, obviously that injury, I thought he would be missing more games, but where are you with Brock Purdy? It sounds like he's going to be ready to go week 1.
Yeah, look, I think in Brock Purdy we trust, and certainly, and well, and I heard you guys, before this. Yes, there's 10 games on tape now for Brock Purdy, but you don't just go with Mr. Irrelevant, for no reason. And what we saw in that short sample size last year was pretty amazing. I haven't seen the offense run that well in years, and y'all know I'm a huge Jimmy Garoppolo fan. And you talk about any quarterback can be in this system. That's not true. I mean, Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard didn't really do that well. Trey Lance hasn't really done that well quite yet. So you have to give some credit, guys, to the quarterbacks that do well. Yes, Shanahan is a little bit of a wizard here, but the kid came in, he beat the Dolphins, then he beat the Bucks, Tom Brady, the greatest to ever do it. Then he went into Seattle and he won a game against the 12th man. And he did win 2 playoff games, one of them against Dallas, where actually he had more passing yards than any Niners quarterback outside of Joe Montana in a playoff game. So y'all have your Brock Hard Purdy t-shirts, and then you come on and you slander him left and right. And oh, there it is. There
Ryan
it
is
is.
wearing his. I refuse to wear mine. After those fighting words the 49ers laid out after the NFC Championship game. But to your point, he did he did go on a great run. I guess looking at that season though, why did it come to an end? Because the offensive line couldn't block for Brock Purdy.
Oh wow!
I think that is almost a bigger concern than the issues at quarterback. Is where are you at with this offensive line? New right tackle, your left tackle Williams is again perennial Pro Bowler there, but he's getting up there in age. How confident are you in the offensive line blocking for most likely Brock Purdy, but Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, whoever ends up getting the reps back there?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think you guys hit on it too. Trent Williams is something you're always going to rely on him, even though he's getting older and working through some things. I mean, nobody gets on the left side. I mean, that guy is just incredible. The right side is where everybody gets injured. And, we got rid of McGlinchey and the Broncos paid him a pretty penny. So we'll have to see how that works out for them. I don't know if McGlinchey played in that preseason game, but the O-line didn't look too great. And Russell Wilson actually looked absolutely horrible in the preseason game. But I will say that, well, look, we're hopeful with the right side. We'll see how that comes up. But I do think, and yes, in the NFC Championship game, and everybody keeps saying it, oh, don't have a tight end block for whatever. And yeah, by the way, coaches do that all the time. This time it turned out really, really bad, cost us the NFC Championship game. But look, I think as long as you have Trent Williams on the left side, you've got at least, half of the side blocked. And we're just going to be hopeful for the right side. And I am happy that they got rid of Mike McGlinchey, though, because he was way too hit or miss.
Yeah, he did seem like a little bit of a liability. Nicholas in the YouTube chat pointing out Carson Wentz is on the market. Katie, would you?
I would rather die. I would rather throw myself off a building. First of all, I've been personally victimized by betting on Carson Wentz too many times for me to say. And Sam Darnold had some good throws yesterday, and again, he should, considering the amount that he's played. But look, I'm still Brock Purdy #1. I think that Sam Darnold will be the #2, and that Trey Lance, hopefully, I think they're going to switch it in the next game. I think that Darnold starts off for the first half, and then they give Trey Lance the second half, and I hope that he does better just for trade value.
The internet's going to explode when Darnold runs with the ones.
Oh yeah,
in preseason game Ryan, 2 and looks amazing. You
famously have Sam Darnold comeback player of the year and Sam Darnold MVP.
Yes.
Wow.
You have to be kind of dismayed here. The fact that Brock Purdy is ahead of his schedule with his rehab and looks to have the #1 job.
What do you mean? What has changed?
Well, I honestly didn't think.
Well, Brock Purdy has played better than Sam Darnold ever has in a season. So I mean,
in a season, correct, accurate statement. I don't know if he's back, and I think that the Niners have always been very aggressive in their messaging with his recovery, even when he's had some pause in how quick he's going to recover. So I think we might be dusting off the old noodle arm. Nomiker this year and applying it to Brock Purdy.
Wow,
because maybe little ED in the bay, something going on in the water up there.
Little ED.
Listen, I think the problem is Sam Darnold's the best. I don't think Shanahan's had a guy like Darnold. And then you look at that hair; it's very California. He's just traveled a little further up north. He's a SoCal bro. But
the Steve Young quote from earlier was really
so much.
Shanahan
hype.
Did sound a little in love.
So much.
What about the defensive side, Katie? Any concerns for the Niners? Obviously, Bosa kind of holding out right now. I'm sure he will be playing week 1. But what's your take on the 49ers defense overall?
I'm not concerned about the defense at all. I mean, this has been the #1 defense for several years now. And I know a lot of people think there's going to be some, regression because we had, Robert Saleh and then D'Amico Ryans kind of came up, but he was with the system for a long time. And then now you got Steve Wilkes in there, which is going to be a little bit different. And yeah, I'm not worried about Bosa getting an extension. I mean, the 49ers have a history of signing their blue chip players to extensions. Just the last 3 off seasons, you look at Kittle, Fred Warner, and then of course Debo last year was a little gave us a heart attack for a little bit. And I don't think that's the same thing with Bosa here. He doesn't seem to be worried about it. The team doesn't seem to be worried about it. He's coming off of Defensive Player of the Year, so we do know he's about to get paid. I think he's probably going to be the highest in the position. That's something that runs in the family. Joey Bosa was the highest of the position, so that's what they're eyeing too. I'm not worried about the defense. We got Hargrave from you guys. Thank you, Philadelphia. I think that's going to be huge.
Trader.
Well, you got to go where the money is. And so no, I think the defense is still going to be, one of the best in the league. To your point earlier, I think the O-line and then of course the secondary are always going to be the biggest question marks for the Niners.
I mean, look, I think you always got to be concerned when Bosa is thinking he's negotiating on behalf of himself. I mean, we saw the way that which brother was getting into it with the Eagles. I guess it was
it was Joey. Joey's more hot tempered than Nick is. Nick is pretty even keeled.
Nick is the brains of the operation. If there are, again, they're not like Rhodes scholars. The Bosa brothers.
Something you accidentally measure when you're analyzing the K metric, which of course is the distance between the pupils. Is you notice when someone's just got a massive Cro-Magnon head like the Bosas do. And so I don't know if we want Nick Bosa thinking about anything other than football and ball and getting the ball. So hopefully it's not a distraction.
It's not, he's still been working out the same. He's been talking to people on the team. He's not worried about it. The team's not worried about it. Unlike Deebo Samuel last year, who really let it be a distraction and wasn't working out the same. I don't think that that's the case with Bosa. He's going to come back.
So just so we're clear though, Bosa, but he's not in the building.
He's not in the building. No,
that's that. So, but nothing to worry about. No, team doesn't have anything to worry about.
If he's not worried, the deal's going to get done, Kramer, and you can have me back on when it does, and he becomes the highest paid, at his position.
True. I mean, that would be silly if they didn't. Old welcome Matt John Lynch would really screw that one up.
Maybe he'll take the Saquon deal where it's incentives that really aren't going to happen, and it ends up being the same amount of money.
No, you got to lock him up. He's just going to get more expensive. These teams are so dumb.
Yeah, no. Bosa's obviously going to be back. The defense should be pretty good, especially with the addition of Hargrave. I mean, I do feel like the interior D line was kind of a place you could attack, but now you put Hargrave there. Again, it's almost the same 49ers preview we had last year where I think they have a really good roster. Shanahan knows how to scheme stuff up. Still not a great in-game decision maker with some of the things. However, last year it was like, hey, they have a really good roster, but Trey Lance is their starting quarterback. What's going to happen? I didn't factor in Brock Purdy going on that crazy run there, but now
they didn't have McCaffrey last preseason.
Yeah, no, and they didn't have Christian McCaffrey, who I haven't talked about, but obviously looked very good there.
Brandon Ayuk wasn't in a contract year.
Brandon Ayuk, and then Debo keeps beating himself up for having what I thought was like a decent year, but he keeps letting everyone know that he had a bad year. Do you think it was the contract stuff that? I don't feel like he had that bad of a year, but he seems like he's going on a tour explaining, I'm going to be better than last year. What do you make of Debo coming into this year?
Well, I love it. Come back better than last year. Even though you didn't have necessarily a bad year, you did cause a lot of off-season drama with your, when he was at the club and they brought around the Niners things and he was like, no, get it away from me. And he's, wiping the social media and all of the things that he did. And he was, I think, very spiteful about it all, which is the opposite of Bosa, who knows this is getting done. And again, has told people on the team, I will be there. Don't worry about it. I don't think that was the same. And that's got to be a distraction. It's got to affect the way that you're gearing up for the season and working out. And like Shanahan said, no grown man has ever sent him that many shirtless photos before, but the Debo looks really good. And I also think with Christian McCaffrey in town, that's got to level everybody up. Debo used to be the guy, the Swiss Army knife, and now Christian McCaffrey has taken that away from him a little bit. Now I'm not going to compare them. They're the different, but kind of the same when you think about positionless players. I think that Debo wants to show that he is just as good as Christian McCaffrey. So I think that's more of his motivation here, is not to let McCaffrey kind of show him up that much.
You see Katie letting us know she doesn't stand with running backs. Christian McCaffrey, positionless. Interesting statement there.
I stand with running backs, but I think that the way that this is going, Kramer, is that running backs have to be more positionless. The traditional back, unfortunately,
position fluid.
Yes, position fluid. Yes.
Kramer,
I don't know what the pronouns are, but yeah.
Let's get to it. Let's talk schedule. Walk through the schedule.
Well, I have a note here from an earlier preview, and it kind of came up in passing, and we glossed over it. But the big difference is they have Steve Wilks now just sitting around coaching the defense. And what do we say about Steve Wilks last year, Sean? Oh, yeah, he really made some nice fucking burgers out of those piles of shit.
Yeah, no, he really
had a nice barbecue, even considering what Matt Rule left behind.
Well, again, yeah, he picked up where Matt Rule left off, and the team was totally buying in. Yeah, I guess I glazed over because the 49ers, to their credit, keep losing defensive coordinators, lost Saleh, lost D'Amico Ryans, and didn't seem to really like lose a step on the defensive side. So I think he'll probably hit the ground running.
My argument too is he's more of a grown man than those other guys. Those other guys were kind of on their way up. This is a grown ass fucking man. Like if there's anyone that's going to be able to help Shanahan like not be a total buffoon in game, I wonder if Steve Wilkes could be that guy. I did note it as a very, very like that's a massive pickup for them. And also like it's annoying that San Francisco gets to be the rehab place for all these awesome coaches. I don't like that. I did see, we also glossed over the fact that we got a Kubiak on the offensive staff, and Sean,
so it is
we got an or. We just like the depth charts. We got a co-coordinator. So that's also look at Shanahan trying to give all the people some. He's such a good guy.
Why put out a depth chart if you're going to put or? Like it defeats the entire purpose of a depth chart. It's very annoying.
Katie, what Sean's asking you is why the Eagles made 5 running backs all starters on their.
Yes, that is stupid, and I blame the PR team.
All right.
Wow,
so yeah,
PR team taking some heat there. All right.
Well, stay
Katie
tuned for the most
PR team.
Most likely, we have thrown I think we gave a PR team the most likely to be a D-gen for the Saints. All right. You want to talk odds?
Yeah. 2023 49ers odds, win total sitting at 10.5. Crazy juice on the over. Make playoffs a staggering -450. Miss playoffs +360. Division -160. Only 4-1 to win the National Football Conference, and then 10-1 to win the Super Bowl.
How you feeling about those prices, Katie?
Well, one, I lean on that over 10.5, but I would rather bet them to win the division at -160 because there's similar odds there. And I just think when you look at, there's so much more upside to betting them to win the division than betting them 10.5. Like it's so hard to get double-digit wins. Do I think that they can get 11? I do, but you look at the Cardinals, who are trash, the Rams. Who they sold their souls for that win at home a couple years ago, and so they're in rebuilding. They're not going to be anywhere close. And then the Seahawks are good, but I think we saw some regression already from Geno Smith, and so it'll be interesting to see what they look like. So the Niners are almost a lock to win the division. I would rather do the -160 there than to take their win total.
Sounds like
give me them 4-1 to win the conference. By the way.
Sounds like she has no respect for the division. Apparently, Geno Smith been written back to, so that's no longer.
I've been writing him back for a while.
He might write back this season. He's got a lot of letters to get back to.
For the younger folks, when Sean and I were children, we would write letters to random people in the world and call it a pen pal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's strange times. Now that's just talking to strangers over the internet. All right, let's look at the schedule. First 4. Back to back on the road, Sean. That's probably
Tough
not
start.
optimal for a new quarterback, or maybe Brock Purdy will be ready. I don't know. At Steelers, at Rams, then we have Giants on Thursday Night Football and Cardinals at home a week later. Obviously, it sounds like Katie is going 6-0 in the division based on her confidence. Yes. Maybe she'll give a courtesy loss somewhere in there. But I mean, what's the Shanahan McVay flow chart? I mean, mostly Shanahan has his lunch, right?
No, Shanahan has won every single regular season game, but of course they beat us in the one that counts.
Yeah, so I think you have to almost give them, that's 2 right there in the division.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Sean's going to pull out a doozy and say the Rams are frisky at home. I do like
Rams are frisky at home,
but the flow chart.
But the Rams, you got to understand that is Levi Stadium South. Okay, that they don't have a home. Too. They don't have a home game when they're playing the 49ers.
Before we had Katie on, we were complimenting them in Las Vegas.
They did show up for the preseason game.
Yes.
GameTime.co, promo code SGPN. Get those tickets, Niners Nation. I do think at Steelers week 1 is a really, really tough spot for them. I mean, the idea that Brock Purdy's going to be a road favorite against that defense, non-conference road favorites, a little sketchy. The only thing that scares me about the Rams game is I feel like back-to-back road games to start the season, and you have the look ahead to the Thursday night spot. That could be tough. I'll go 3-1 here because I do think Thursday night at home against a soft ass Giants team, you got that.
Giants will
and
be
then
on
Cardinals. You should be able to get that.
Giants will be on a back-to-back road spot, but they'll be staying out west. So culture build. They're 1-0 in those spots in Dable's existence. So let's just call that out. 2-2 for me, Sean.
2-2. Wow.
2-2, yeah.
Okay, Katie, how say you?
Well, I agree with you guys on the Steelers. And one, do I want Brock Purdy going up against TJ Watt? No, I do not.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is an absolute game changer. And
I mean, that's a great test for your offensive line. Like, honestly, I think if even look at 49ers futures, if they can go in and block up that Steelers front seven and give Purdy, assuming he makes the start, plenty of time to throw, I think that's a great sign for the 49ers. But if they struggle and he takes a bunch of shots, I think that's concerning.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think that, well, look, the 49ers traditionally start a little bit slower too. So I'll give the Steelers week 1. I think they can win out in the next 3 games. I think they beat the Rams easily just because that's what happens. And then the Giants, it's their first home game, TNF. But you guys talk about, having road games away, to start the season. That is something that's happened with the 49ers for the last few seasons because Levi's Stadium actually gets so ungodly hot during preseason and in the beginning of the season that you'll notice they will only have night games or they will have away games in that front half of the season because for the players on the other side and also the fans, it's like even if it's 70 degrees outside, it feels like 102.
The hashtag is literally faithful to the Bay, and yet we don't have an ocean breeze.
Levi's Stadium is in a weird place of the.
What have we done?
Levi Stadium is still in the Bay Area, guys. The Bay Area is huge, and that includes Santa Clara County, which is exactly where the 49ers live now.
If you're a Bay dwelling, you have to have an ocean breeze. I'm calling it, not a meteorologist.
Well, there is a breeze, but the way that the stadium is set up, I mean, they really didn't expect the sun to beat in like that.
Era PSI Cowboys Sunday Night Football. Oh, I like this spot for the Niners. At Browns, at Vikings, another back-to-back road spot on Monday Night Football. So that mark that as an L. Kirk Cousins in primetime, and Bengals at home mid-season bye. That's very kind of the scheduling gods. I think, Sean, it's tough to be. I mean, this is maybe when the Bengals start getting good, but this stretch, Bengals coming off their bye week too. For what?
Yeah, that's one of those when we talked about net rest. Bengals coming off the bye. You got to beat the Vikings, right? Bengals at home. I think that could be tricky because I think Joe Burrow is one of those guys. Even if you get a pass rush on him, those receivers against the 49ers back end, that could be a nice matchup for them.
Cleveland's also coming off the bye.
And at Cleveland,
2-2.
Yeah, I'm going 2-2 just because I do think Cleveland matches up okay with them. I think they take care of the Cowboys.
Hold on, I'm pretty sure we probably gave them Cleveland the loss here, Sean.
All right, come on. You can't lock us into exact predictions. I'm going 2-2 in this quadrant because I think it's a little tougher than you might think. Katie, what are you doing here?
I'm going to go 3-1 here. I think, look, Brock Purdy's already beat the Cowboys, and he did so in pretty, fabulous fashion in the playoffs. So I think that's a win there. The Browns, I just don't know what this team is going to look like and like what Deshaun Watson is going to look like. Is he going to look like 2020 Deshaun Watson, or is it? And I lean towards, and I get a lot of crap about this all the time. I lean towards when everybody knows your deepest, darkest secrets and what gross guy you are, it's really hard to overcome that. You know what I mean? It's like, so I kind of think he's maybe not going to be so great. So I'll say a win there. Vikings, like you said, primetime Kirk Cousins. You just can't give money to that guy. And I do think that they could potentially lose to the Bengals here. So I'll go 3-1 again.
I'm not touching Deshaun Watson.
I mean, you got Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins back-to-back weeks. Yeah. Talk about the devil and the saint sitting on your shoulders.
Literally.
Let's watch it. Let's have a family movie night.
Deshaun Watson's like, I'm just gonna go out and get some taquitos. Be back in an hour.
Team approved massages only. So Kramer, you got him 4-4.
No. 3-1. Adjust it. I am gonna try to be true. I did. This is a loss for the other. I'm
going 5-3 first date. Katie slightly higher than us. Not surprising here at 6-2.
Good for you, Katie.
Next four, Ryan.
All right, next four.
This is where it's tough.
Coming off the bye at Jacksonville, Bucks at home. Yeah, I don't know if I would have given now it starts to get tough. Slang.
Well, 3 road games
at Seattle on Thanksgiving. Love that matchup. This can be an every Thanksgiving matchup. If I'd be fine with like rotational, just awesome ass divisional matchups, maybe 3-year stretches, or maybe home and homes. That'd be super fun. Then you have at Eagles and Seahawks again. So Eagles and a Seahawks sandwich.
Well, I'll tell you
buy
this.
for the Eagles. Mini buy for the Eagles. They're looking at the Eagles game now, so I think they'll be very focused on that game.
Well, and yeah, I think
the Eagles won't care about it. That's going to be the best part. That's going to be the total Nick Sirianni neg.
No,
whatever. It's just a regular season game.
Unfortunately, Robbie Gould, former friend of the program, his quote, "But if you make Jalen Hurts play quarterback, you're going to have a pretty solid day on defense." I don't know if that's true, Robbie. I know you're looking for a team. I know they drafted a 3rd-round kicker to replace you who hasn't looked great in preseason. I will say the Eagles are 100% winning that game. I know, according to Shanahan, his wife is not coming to the game because she didn't enjoy her reception in Philadelphia, which is a shame. We should be more welcoming as the city.
Why would you say that out loud if you're Shanahan?
I know you're giving the Eagles fans what we want, and that is that we're in your head. I think you lose to the Eagles, and then I think at Jags, at Seahawks, one of those is a loss.
Well, it's the 3rd back-to-back road spot too. Worth noting. I know I listed 5 games, but yeah. So you have 3 and 4 weeks, and that it's a back-to-back spot again. So they really didn't. The way they clustered the rest disparity against the Niners, not the best. For
2-2. Kramer, how say you?
Well, worth noting, Sean. I was going to get in there, but you're blabbing about your Eagles. Eagles coming off the bye week 10. It's then at Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco, at Dallas.
Yeah, so I
look ahead to a Dallas game.
Yeah,
Dallas week on deck.
Yep. But dude, the amount of 40-winers that have the 49ers, to their credit, have turned this into a rivalry. I was fine just happy going to the Super Bowl, moving on. But 49ers are petitioning the league. Oh, you got to change the rules. It's not fair. We would have won. We just needed a 4th-string quarterback. Like the 49ers have created an entire season of bulletin board material. For the Eagles, I think the Bills are going to be the toughest game in that spot because you have the Chiefs right in Kansas City, revenge game for the Super Bowl, letdown spot for the Bills. And then they're definitely getting up for the 49ers 100%. And Kyle Shanahan even said he was happy they're not playing week 1 because they're going to have all their guys, which for a guy who's not had great injury luck, you are really jinxing yourself, Kyle Shanahan, by saying week 13, you're going to be totally healthy, not week 1. Like all-time jinx by Shanahan. Kramer, how say you? And Katie is chomping at the bit to respond.
Well, I'll let Katie
the
respond.
amount that you've been talking, Sean.
Go ahead, Katie.
No. You go first. I will nightcap this.
My handicap.
She's waiting.
My handicap is simple here. I do think they're gonna have to lose one of those 2 road games. I think the first 2 games are winnable. Worth noting, Jags also off their bye, so they don't even get a rest advantage when they're coming off their own bye. I think the mini bye could be helpful against the Eagles. Katie, how have they been against Pete Carroll in general?
Well, last year we swept them.
Yeah.
In general, it's a lot of splitting the season. But last year the 49ers were 6-0 straight up and against the spread in the division.
So they dominated.
I think it's conservatively 3-2 or 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
Conservatively 3-1. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Katie?
look, I think the 49ers, coming off of the bye, getting the Jags, they should be able to get the win there. The Buccaneers, I have zero faith in what, Baker Mayfield can put together this year. The Seahawks, we did sweep the Seahawks last year. I expect more of that this year. So, and Brock Purdy went into Seattle and won there. So the 12th man wasn't exactly quite as scary for our little Brock Purdy. And then when it comes to the Eagles game, yeah, look, we have different perspectives on this one, Sean. And I will say, I don't think it's as far as like changing the rules and whatever, one, to say it's not fair, that's not that's not real. Of course it's fair. This is football. People get injured and you don't have someone to play. That's what it is. But I also think, having it be, it's not like this wasn't a rule before. They're just basically putting it back that you can dress, 3 quarterbacks. That's not to say, by the way, we have 3 quarterbacks right now. If Trey Lance went in the NFC Championship game, do I think we would have won that game? No. Did we have more of a chance to compete? Yes. The reality was the Niners did not have a chance to compete very early on in that game. Now, as far as like the bulletin board material, I do think that goes back and forth, right? Both ways, in terms of things that the Eagles, players and fans have said. I think there's a chip on everybody's shoulder. The 49ers players feel like they didn't get a chance to compete. And then the Eagles players are like, why are you guys acting like we didn't earn this win? So I think it's definitely something that's marked on everyone's calendar. I think that health is, the healthier team is going to win this game. I'm of course going to say the 49ers to come back and get that win, because I do think we could have won the NFC Championship game had that not happened to Brock Purdy. So I guess I'm giving us 4-0 actually straight in this.
Whoa!
In this.
Oh
Yep.
my God.
Well, and look, the 49ers get better the second half of the season. That's where they start to really turn it on. And like you said, yes, Shanahan, we do suffer a lot of injuries, but most of those happen in the beginning of the season. I don't know what he does at training camp, but a lot of these soft tissue injuries happen at the top. So we're going to start to heat up here, fellas.
All right, so I'm putting it on the calendar right now, November 29th. It's the Wednesday we'll be recording the NFL pick show for week 13. I'm just making a note for Katie to.
Yes, please do.
To come
please
on.
do.
Is that coming from your computer, Sean?
No.
I think, is it coming from my computer? What the fuck is going on? All right.
I don't hear anything.
All right. I hear something.
What do you hear?
It's
We're
echo.
looping
All right,
back.
so moving along. So I'll change mine to 2-2. Actually, Sean, I wanted to chime in there. I'm actually gonna slide.
What's causing the 2-2?
The Jags game. I could see it's going to weird things happen to good teams in Jacksonville. I can't explain it. Curse of Urban Meyer. All right, final 5: Seahawks at Cardinals, Ravens on Christmas Day at Commanders, Rams at home. Oh man, this is pretty. This is why they have a good end of the season every year. Cakewalk. Cakewalk. Apparently they destroy the Seahawks.
Yes.
The Cardinals, like you said, Kyler could be back. Does that a random Kyler pop his head up game?
Colt McCoy's dealing. Clayton Tune. So I think
3-2.
Okay, because I think 3-2 is actually fair, just because you do have 3 division games. I know Katie's optimistic they're going to go undefeated in the division. I mean, to go back to back undefeated in the division is insane. I get the NFC West is down this year, but I still think you can trip up and lose one of those random division games. And then I think Ravens, even though it's at home on Christmas Day, that's a tough matchup. Like, I think the Ravens do a lot of the similar things that the 49ers do. I think that's going to kind of be a tough matchup for the 49ers. And while the Commanders, I don't think are good, going all the way.
Oh yeah.
To the east,
unfriendly confines of FedEx Field.
Going to the East Coast, that as a road favorite, I think that's a tricky spot. So I think 3-2 is a fair.
Oh, you're being
impartial.
Very fair, Sean. You're being very fair.
Again, like they just feel. I don't see
a lot of feelings in your projection.
I don't see like the 13-4 season in the cards for the 49ers, but again, it's hard to say they're going to suck as much as I would find part of that entertaining, because they have a really good roster. They have a good defense. I think their path to success is one. It's really going to come kind of similar narrative as the Jets, right? Like if the Jets offensive line is good, they're going to have a pretty good season, but even more question marks for the Jets offensive line and Jets coaching. I think
metaphorical big butt.
I think 49ers. Yeah. Big question with Mekhi Becton.
It's Mekhi Becton.
But if they can, again, if their offensive line is healthy, the Jets will be a pretty good team, a very good defense like the 49ers, kind of toughish schedule. But I think for the 49ers, you keep the offensive line, that right tackle ends up being a legit starter. I think they're good. If the season goes sideways, I think it's because the offensive line isn't healthy, or just the right tackle isn't who they thought he was. Isn't a starter. But I think the floor for this Niners team, like even worst case scenario,
week 13.
I think worst case scenario.
Oh my goodness.
What do you think the bottom of this Niners?
The
team?
worst case scenario is just go back to week 1, Bears Niners.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is the 2020 season where we lose all of our starters and it's just a miserable season to watch.
Yeah, I think
that's a horrible prediction, Katie. Why would
No,
you say
It's not a
that?
prediction. He's saying what's the worst thing that can happen. I've experienced it.
I would say I'm complimenting the Niners as much as it pains me to say, like, even if they lose a bunch of starters, I still think this team wins 8-7 games. Like, I don't think they have a very high floor. I think.
Can you see a world where they miss the playoffs?
No.
Yeah. I love how he answered at the same time.
I will say, as much as I like to disagree with guests, I kind of agree with Katie. It does seem like the floor is.
But
quite
do you
high.
like taking playoffs at -450?
No. It's Sam Darnold high. That's how high the floor is. All right. So what did we get a final prediction for Katie, or final prediction from Katie?
Katie's 10-2.
You were talking that whole time.
Yeah,
have some manners.
I was giving my prediction. I have them going 10-7. Kramer, you also have them 10-7.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wait, all of that, you got them going 10-7?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No,
Well,
I think they have it.
They're going to make if they're 10-7, they're going to make the playoffs. Just Sean.
Most likely, yeah. There's tiebreaker situations where they might not get in.
But
I'm not laying -450 to bet on them to make the.
All right. So
crazy.
what? How do you see them final 5, Katie? 5-0, obviously.
I'll give them one loss to the Ravens. I do think that is a tough one. Obviously, the Cardinals, you guys were talking about Kyler Murray. This one it's interesting to me because I don't think the teams really tank in the NFL necessarily like they do in the NBA. But let's say the Cardinals get off to a horrendous start, which I believe that they will. There's no rush to bring Kyler Murray back, so I don't really think we necessarily see him. If somehow the Cardinals are good, then they may be more inclined to bring him back. But no, I don't think that that's going to be a win there. So I'll give them one loss there, and it's possible. And the Niners do have the most traveling of miles. I think actually the Seahawks have more than they do, so they might be tired here come the end of the season. Now I know they do like to heat up, so it's possible they have 2 losses there, but I'll just say one.
A very conservative 14-3 for the Niners. I love Katie because I'm sure my Eagles prediction will be similar.
Yes.
I'll be like 15-2, maybe 16-1. We'll see when we get to it.
This is the time of the year where anything is possible, and you're a lot higher on your team than not.
Hope springs eternal. All right, Katie, what are so future bets? Are you going conference? Are you going Super Bowl? Even as we pointed out, those prices are horrible. But how far do you have them going? What do you have any fun player props you like?
Oh yeah, well, one to win the conference
Okay.
at +360. We like that. And again, when you're looking at the win totals, if you're going to, do the -160, you might as well just go to win the division.
Yeah.
There's just so much more upside there. Well, I like Christian McCaffrey to win Offensive Player of the Year. Now he is the favorite. When I locked this in, it was at +1100. I'm not sure what it is now.
Oh,
also
1500 now. 1500.
Oh hell yeah!
Better
Hell
price.
yeah! I mean, first of all, and take him over on his rushing touchdowns too, which is just so crazy. They have it that line at 6.5. He averaged 111 scrimmage yards per game last year, 73 rushing, 39 receiving. He scored a combined 13 touchdowns on 20 touches per game. 8 of those rushing touchdowns came on the ground. Touchdowns came from rushing. There's just no way that he gets under 6.5 this year. And, to think about what he did, he was so impactful last season that people forget that he was a midseason trade. Think of this guy. I can't remember what player said it, but they said if Kyle Shanahan could create a player, it would be Christian McCaffrey. And just thinking about him in this offense for an entire season and all the things you can do with him, I love him for Offensive Player of the Year. But probably my favorite bet, and y'all know I do love a George Kittle and a tight end bet, but George Kittle touchdowns over 5.5. This is priced at +110. First of all, He had 11 regular season touchdowns last year. 7 of those came with Purdy at center. You know, this Iowa connection. I don't know what they're doing in the corn out there, but this was a career best for him last year. Should Purdy play through the whole season, there's just no way that George Kittle is going under 5.5, and you're giving us plus money here. So I love George Kittle over the 5.5. I love McCaffrey over his rushing touchdowns. I love McCaffrey, offensive player of the year. And of course, I like the Niners to win the conference at plus 360.
A lot to unpack there. That George Kittle 5.5 touchdown line. That's Sean's Eleanor. Well, just the he can't get that one right. When he's high on Kittle, he's wrong. When he's low on Kittle, he's wrong. I feel like that's also been.
I'm always right on Kittle.
Well, he's only had one season where he's done more than 5 touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken.
It was last year. Other than that, he had. Yeah, and
other thing, real quick to unpack there, as Katie was just lushing over Christian McCaffrey, it made me think 50 Shades of Grey. There's a 50 Shades of Grey movie poster Photoshop with McCaffrey. Maybe Katie.
There's so many things you can do with Christian McCaffrey.
Trey Lance is the other face.
I like to Katie's point, offensive player of the year. I think makes sense.
Have to.
But to me, and I gave this out early on when we were doing our futures episodes, if there is someone that could win MVP that is not a quarterback, I think Christian McCaffrey. I think it's down to 100 to 1. I gave it out at 200 to 1. The logic being, I mean, we don't.
I'm nominating that for like CLV flex of the offseason.
It really was. Closing line value at Sean T Green, where sharps go to hang. I think the fact that he is 200 to 1, or at least was what I gave him out. I think makes a ton of sense because to Katie's point, like the 49ers offense, you could imagine where, okay, let's say Purdy's out there. Maybe Purdy gets a little banged up. Maybe Darnold comes in for a little bit. Maybe we get randomly 2 good Trey Lance games and this 49ers offense ends up being the number 1 seed. While I don't see that at 200 to 1, that's interesting enough because Christian McCaffrey carrying the offense to a good season and showing and not having the quarterback support, because usually it just goes to the quarterback if the offense is really good. This is actually the one year I think it could happen. Obviously, I'm on the under 10.5 wins. I just think 11 when you're laying the juice is too high. As far as a division bet, I like the 49ers and Rams because I'm quietly higher than market on the Rams to finish 1-2 in any order at plus 475. That to me is a fun one just because I like fading Seattle and the Cardinals in this division. I'm not a Geno believer. I'm looking to fade Geno. I understand the holes in the Rams case, but those are my favorite bets. Kramer, what do you got?
A couple of things I wanted to point out. One, I think if you like them to win the conference, you can bet them to be the 1 seed at plus 460. It's slightly better price.
Yes.
To me, that makes more sense. Take the playoff variance out of it. That could maybe people are thinking they're going to start slow because the coach said they're not going to be ready until week 13. I also would suggest taking the over in the division wins.
What's that at?
As much as I wanted to be a hater, I mean, you look at this. We went through the entire schedule. And how many losses? You're the hater. How many losses did they lose in the division for you? Did you have 1 division loss?
No, I think they'll probably be 5-1, 4-2. Sounds about right because they match up well. To Katie's point, they really own the.
Katie, how many did they lose last year?
0.
0.0
straight up and against the spread.
That's what I'm saying. I think as impressive as that was to run it back years is unprecedented in the NFL.
So my take is instead of playing because if you like the over and I think even if you like the under, I'm going to stab over 4.5 wins because it's plus 165.
Woo.
And honestly, if you like the over, that's a better way to play it.
I'm gonna add that to Katie's pile.
Yeah,
of
put
bets.
that on Katie's pile.
I think she likes that.
Yes.
I will 100%. I agree with you with the rushing prop, and I actually went to go add that to my sheet because Christian McCaffrey, like Bijan Robinson's at 8.5. An elite running back should be at 8.5. So whatever his price is, did you say 6.5?
Yeah.
I mean that's insane. I see some 7.5s with some juice, but so you can even get some positive juice on over 7.5. Sean, that to me is a lock. I mean, we there's no way he gets to his plus 15, like his second favorite price of offensive player of the year without scoring 15 to 20 total touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm going to take that as well. Give me C-Mac over 6.5 rushing touchdowns.
And then my top two exacta, which by the way, these are all in all, these are my most fun division bets.
Yeah.
The fact that they just give us the exacta, they
like
don't make us
racing.
scroll through it all. I'll actually go. I kind of as we join. I mean, what'd you get the price on the Niners Rams?
Niners and Rams finish 1-2 at plus 475.
Oh, okay. I'll take that too. So here's the crazy thing about that one. I was fully poised to come in here, hate the Niners and go Seahawks Rams 12-1 top.
Oh,
in the
wow.
division. But then we walk through the schedule. It's like, it's really hard. It's really hard to make it so that both those teams pop ahead. It's like one team's going to maybe pop ahead of the Niners. Unfortunately, after going through the work, it doesn't seem the problem is I'm high on Darnold. That's the problem. Like even if Darnold's the quarterback,
Darnold sucks you back in.
And put those on my sheet. Darnold comeback player of the
Hilarious
year.
that Sam Darnold is the thing that sways you.
Well, so Sam Darnold comeback player of the year. I got it at 100-1, Sean. You can still get it out in the wild at 60-1.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. That's crazy.
Why? DeMar Hamlin has not played a regular season snap yet, although he might have already won the award.
He played in the game. Come on.
I'm also going to take Sam Darnold MVP at 150-1.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if they're the 1 seed and Sam Darnold plays 12 games, watch out.
Christian McCaffrey is the MVP.
What? Well, not if Sam Darnold looks good. You see the way he was slinging that rock in the preseason?
Right. According to Trey Lance fans, preseason completely meaningless.
Oh, it doesn't matter now.
All right. Now the bet that everyone has been waiting for, our prediction for the MLD, AKA the most likely DJ, AKA who hypothetically could get busted in the 49ers organization for betting on the NFL or breaking whatever the NFL's code of conduct with gambling.
Getting in trouble.
Kramer, do you want to start?
Happy to start.
Who do you got?
Well, there's been a little bit of I don't know if you've seen the pattern this offseason. Full blown controversy in the state of Iowa, and most importantly,
everywhere
on the campus of Iowa State, and most importantly, in the offensive meeting rooms at Iowa State. And I think I said Ohio State by accident the first time. And even more importantly, in the quarterback room.
Oh, come
now.
Okay.
We heard Randy Cross tell us directly, well, boy, if Brock Purdy's taking the offensive line out, it's probably to Golden Corral.
Oh,
Might be looking to make a couple bucks. We've also heard how cerebral Brock Purdy is.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the smartest guy in the room was not observing Mr. Deckers placing these $7.65 bets. And
what would
Jesus do?
What would Jesus do? This is a highly religious guy.
I don't know. Doesn't Carrie Underwood have a song about Jesus liking to let it ride? Yeah, I think Jesus would let it ride. Look, he wants to take his offensive line out for a nice steak, not Golden Corral.
Yeah, he's still on that rookie. He's on the 7-year rookie deal. He needs to make a couple extra bucks.
Anyone on the 2021 Iowa State roster
immediately red flag
is 100% gambling. They were pooling their money. They're putting parlays in together. Who knows if he actually had an account, but listen, Brock Purdy, he might have a little noodle arm. Doctor might say, "Hey, take it down. No throwing."
Did you see one of the Iowa State guys' names was like just one letter? His fake name was like one letter off. It was like Croc Dirty.
Well, we've gone from we've gone from they're just making these innocuous bets to they may have been throwing games or attempting to.
Well, they were betting against themselves and then still winning the game and losing the bet.
It's like
really
a true
fun.
college kid doing a horrible job at it. Just failure.
All right, my MLD. I'm going to the front office. Give me CEO Jed York.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
See, Jed York also being sued for insider trading.
No.
Listen to this. York and other directors of Chegg Incorporated are accused of concealing the company's role in helping college students cheat online. That's right. So basically, he was one of the founders of this company where Chegg would send these kids instant answers during the pandemic to help them beat their online test when everyone was working remote. Their stock skyrocketed. The skyrocketed stock price peaked at $113 in February 2021. Currently trading at less than $11. York and the Chegg CEO allegedly unloaded the stock and got out. So, maybe like the quarterback rules, the SEC will come in, fix things for the 49ers, but not looking good for old Jed York here. Sounds like a guy who knows how to break the rules and also get caught.
Couldn't agree with you more on this one. I'm going to go Jed York as well.
Yes.
And let's not forget who his uncle is, Eddie DeBartolo, who was, lost the team because he had he paid $400,000 to a former Louisiana governor in exchange for a riverboat gambling license. All right. So he comes from DGen stock. And fun fact, also Trump pardoned Eddie DeBartolo Jr. For his gambling fraud conviction. So look, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, quack quack.
#Legends only.
Katie coming over the top with some great. I mean, Eddie DeBartolo. I didn't without even knowing his backstory. Immediately.
Oh, it's a great
immediately DJ
DeBartolo. I don't want to. I did actually click on the article and go a little deeper into the Chegg thing. It doesn't. I don't want to seem like I'm defending the guy. It doesn't seem like they knowingly were giving out the answers. It seemed to be a flaw in their system. And then when they realized, once people found, like, they thought they were just doing well, but in reality, kids were starting to pass the word that you could get the test answers here. And then they realized it. We're like, oh shit, let me get out of it. Like, sell the stock because we're doing really well. That was the part they were like, crooks.
Ryan Kramer, attorney at law for Jed York.
No.
Here is defense case.
Listen, I'm as an Italian guy, you don't want to, directly.
All right. YouTube.com/sports gambling podcast. Of course, Kramer and I have the 49ers going 10-7 just on the under there. Kramer with his Darnold MVP, comeback player of the year. 49ers Rams exacta. We both like that one, plus 475. McCaffrey over 6.5 rushing touchdowns. We both like that. I got McCaffrey 200-1 MVP. Katie, I mean, we had to adjust the font size to get all of Katie's bets in. Over 10.5 wins. Division minus 160. Conference 4-1. Offensive player of the year 15-1. Over 6.5 rushing touchdowns for McCaffrey. Kittle over 5.5 rushing touchdowns. Over 4.5 division wins. Kramer and you both like that. 14-3. And Katie and I both like Jed York, dropping some great Jed York knowledge. Kramer going with the Iowa State connection there with Brock Purdy.
And it just real quick, Josh, just use any picture of Jed York where he's wearing sunglasses. That should work.
You really nailed the DJ look. Well, Katie, appreciate you calling in as always. Follow Katie on X, aka Twitter, at Katie Mox. Subscribe to the Pick Six podcast, and of course, check her out on Omaha Audio with MoxieBets. Katie, appreciate the time.
Thank you guys. Always fun. And I will, pencil me in for week 13, baby.
Look out.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Stacking the Money Green. He's Ryan.
It's interesting how off-putting X is to people.
Kramer, let it ride.